Thưa đại chúng, hôm nay là lễ hàng tuần của Phật viện trên Wisdom of Giving by thầy Tịnh Tạng. Thank you.
We're currently in our fall retreat. So for those of you who see, there's a lot of people here today. It's our fall retreat. It's a time when a lot of people come to practice together. This weekend is also Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving. So I want to wish everyone here, as well as online, on behalf of the monastics, just to thank each and every one of you for your diligent practice and your continued support of the monastery. I know that without you, none of this would be possible. And so we're very thankful, and we have the utmost gratitude for everyone here. Thank you. Today I wanted to talk about gratitude because it's Thanksgiving. And I had one of my close friends remind me yesterday. She said, I think you talked about this last year. And I think I replied with, it's true, I may have talked about it last year, but it's something that we always need to be reminded of. Because gratitude is something very important. I usually like to start my talks with a quote. And the quote I have today is from an American author. Her name is Melody Beatty. It's in her book, The Language of Letting Go. And she says, we should say thank you until we need it. Thank God, Buddha, life, and the universe for everyone and everything sent your way. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, and confusion into clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, and a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. It turns problems into gifts, failures into successes, and the unexpected into perfect timing, and mistakes into important events. When we talk about gratitude in Buddhism, we often talk about the 4 debts of gratitude that we have. I know the monks, we talk about this a lot, and we just did 3 prostrations at the end of the service. And it's a good reminder to always have these 4 debts of gratitude. And first and foremost, we remember that our greatest debt is to our parents. It's impossible to repay the debt that we have to our parents. No matter how bad your upbringing was, or without our parents, we would not exist. And even if they made mistakes, they still loved you in your own way, in their own time. Even if it doesn't feel that way sometimes. We often have to remember that our parents are human as well. So if you're ever mad at your parents, just remember that they're also, at some point in time, they're like you as well. When I studied in Plum Village with Zen Master Truc and friends, one of our meditations was a meditation on the 5-year-old child. And this is something that I often practice when I find myself getting angry. If you look around, you might see a 5-year-old child here. A 5-year-old child is very vulnerable. They're very fragile, and they can get hurt very easily. So first, I want everyone to try to meditate on yourself. Think about yourself when you were a 5-year-old child. When you were very vulnerable, maybe you got hurt, maybe you felt neglected, And so when we have time, we should try our best to go back, to nourish that child. But the more important exercise I want to do here is to see your mother or your father as a 5-year-old child. So, obviously you were not born when your mother or your father was a 5-year-old child. But they had been a 5-year-old child before they were your mother, before they were your father. And as a 5-year-old child, they were also vulnerable. They were also fragile. They were also could have gotten hurt, from your grandpa and your grandma, by other people. And if sometimes you see that they are difficult to deal with, they give us some problems. Sometimes it's because they were hurt as a 5-year-old child. So we always have to remember that. In Vietnamese is a proverb where it says you have to go to the mountains to see how high it is. You have to go deep into the ocean to see how deep it is. And you have to raise children to know how to love their parents. And so, when you think about you growing up, right, as a baby, as a child, you're very helpless, you need help with everything. And even, our parents, they protected us, they nurtured us, and they're worried, even the smallest things. If you ever wonder why your parents worry about you, it's because they've been doing that since you're always worried, and they don't want anything bad to happen to you. But like I said, even if a parent isn't perfect, but a parent is the cause and condition that brings us into the world. And so when you see with Isaac gratitude, you see all the efforts that our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, they made before us for us to enjoy this life. The second debt that we have is to our teachers. Our teachers are all around us, people that educate us, people that have trained us, whether it's in life, spiritual. I always look, well, can you imagine your life without your education? For example, some of you right now are listening to me, and you understand 100%. Some people, maybe English is a second language, so you understand maybe 50%, 25%. But you still have enough education to understand me somewhat. And so, if you listen here now, if you understand what I'm saying, you should find a way to thank those who taught you. Whether it's your teacher, whether it's your parents, you should thank them for teaching you how to speak, how to listen, how to understand. If you like your job, you should thank the people that hired you. Our teachers are everyone. They can be everyone. They can be everywhere. Our friends, we also have our friends who teach us how to love, respect, to care for each other. When you think about people who have influence in your life, whether it's your parents, whether it's your siblings, I think the other day I was just thinking about things that I like, for example, the type of music I like, or the type of movies or books I like to read. And I think about the influence, why I choose a certain type of music, or why I choose a certain type of movie, or why I choose a certain type of book. And I realized that a lot of it has to do with my sister. I have an older sister. And I realized that growing up, a lot of my influences are from her. We like the same kind of music, we like the same kind of movies. And so I always think about this, and I have so much gratitude for her. You can also take the time to think about people that are difficult in your life, people that have creative challenges, people that cause you a lot of drama in your life. And sometimes I think that these people are the best teachers because they teach you how to be patient. They teach us how to learn to deal with our suffering, how to learn to deal with our pain, how to learn to deal with our anger. And you can also think about strangers that you see in the street. Right? And these people can teach you how to be a citizen, how to be a person, how to treat others well. So even those that we don't know, they can be our teachers as well. Every single person that we encounter, every single person that we interact with, is an opportunity for us to act, to observe, and to learn. I always tell everyone that I talk to, I always say that the best mindset to have is to always be a student. You should always try to be a student, always learn from everyone. No matter how young or how old they are, there's something that you can learn from them. And the third debt of gratitude we have is for the sovereign, for being grateful for your country. Back in the day, you probably in debt to a king or somebody. Nowadays, you have democracy. Whether you live in the U.S., you have the Constitution. Whether you live in Canada, we have our Bill of Rights. We have our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These provide us with security. They provide us with opportunity. I would say that probably 90% of the people here are immigrants. This wouldn't be possible if we didn't have these countries to support us. So as a democracy, we owe our debt of gratitude to our country, but we also owe it to each other, to our fellow citizens. So it doesn't matter if you are, a liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. There will always be disagreements. You always have divisive politics. And sometimes people get upset, maybe the gas prices are too high, or you have to pay too many taxes, or maybe you think the government is stealing from you. And I always tell people that you should pay attention to it, but don't let your imagination run wild. This means that you should pay attention to what's happening, but find the truth. Don't just take something off of Facebook or something you saw and believe it for what it is. I always say that you should be present. Just look what you have. But you'll be much more happy. When I think about Canada, I often think about the opportunity that it's given, my community, my parents. Like I said, a lot of the people here would not be here if it wasn't for the private sponsorship program in Canada. So if you ever feel ungrateful, if you ever feel that it's not enough, take a look at other nations. Take a look at other places in the world, that are grounds for war or violence. We look at Russia and Ukraine right now, and Iran, many places in the world that there's still so much violence and not a lot of security. It goes further than that when we think about the people that support our livelihood. When you think about, it's not just politics. You think about the military, you think about the police, you think about hospitals. I've had some back pain for the similar procedure. And I said to him, you know, the hospitals it takes too long. It's the waits, so I've been here for hours. And he asked, how much does it cost? And I said, well, I'm Canadian, it's free. I remember he said something to me that I always remember. I always have gratitude for our healthcare. And he told me that his procedure costed $33,000. And he said that luckily he has insurance, so it only costed like $8,000, but it's still a lot. And when I thought about it, I immediately had gratitude, just seeing how difficult other people have it. It gave me immense gratitude. So after that, I said to myself, you know what, I can wait. It's not so bad. So the first three tests of gratitude that we have are our parents, our teachers, our country. These first three gratitudes are something that everyone understands. And it doesn't matter if you're Buddhist, it doesn't matter if you're Christian, it doesn't matter what you believe in, it's something that we all have gratitude for, right? Our parents, our teachers, our country. The fourth gratitude that we have, or debt that we have, it also becomes the way that we repay, or we try to repay the first three debts of gratitude. And that is our gratitude to the three jewels. The three jewels, for those that are aware, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha in this regard is Shakyamuni, who showed us that it's possible for human beings to attain enlightenment, to practice to become a Buddha. He's kind of like a parent. He's kind of like our mother, our father, someone who shows us the way. In the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha compared himself to a skilled doctor who makes medicine, good medicine for us, his children. And even if we don't take the medicine, even though it's good for us, he never stops trying to get us to take that medicine. So by following the example of the Buddha, working to cultivate our own Buddhahood, we're also ripening that seed, the Buddha nature within us. And because we have that Buddha nature, it allows us to be more grateful for our ancestors, for our life. So thus we can repay our debts by really understanding the Buddha's teachings and being the best person that we can be. The second is the Dharma. So the Buddha said that we should follow the Dharma and not a person. This means that his teachings, the Buddhas and his disciples, they worked very hard to preserve our teachings for thousands of years. And what I love about Buddhism is it doesn't really tell you that, this is the truth and you have to believe in it or else. But what I love is that it tells you that this is the truth and you don't have to believe in it, but if you give it time, if you have faith, you can discover it for yourself. And when we make an effort to use what we learn to realize the Dharma, we repay our teachers by becoming teachers ourselves. When you take what you learn here and you teach it to other people, that is paying your debt to the Dharma. When you go home, you tell, this is what I learned on Sunday from the monks. When you apply what you learn, when you practice being more grateful to the people around you, that's the way that you pay that gratitude to the Dharma. And finally, we have the Sangha, which is our community. So you can't learn to keep it to yourself, and you can't learn by yourself. It's very difficult. I use the example that every morning the monks have to wake up at 6 to meditate. And if the other monastics didn't wake up at 6, I wouldn't wake up. Right? Everyone in the retreat now, if no one else woke up except for you, right? Would you really want to practice? It'd be very hard. And so we need our Sangha to support our practice. I don't know where I would be without my monastic brothers and sisters. I don't know where I would be without the support of the lay friends. It doesn't matter if you speak the language. It doesn't matter if you don't know them. If you go to any temple, you'll have a support from the Sangha. So those are the 4 gratitudes that I wanted to speak about today. I think that if we practice looking deeply into gratitude, we can see that the roots of our Buddhist practice. I hope that you all celebrate Thanksgiving with a lot of love in your heart, compassion in your eyes, and gratitude in your mind, in your being. And I hope that something that you can remember is that no matter how difficult your lives may be, no matter how difficult your life is, you can always find something to be thankful for. So thank you for your listening. Now we'll have some time. Now we will prepare for the Vietnamese Dharma talk. So for those who need translation, please raise your hand. Raise your hand if you need translation, and the brothers will bring you a device so you can listen to the Dharma talk. So if you can just raise your hands.